Ringers, is that the new word, is it?
That's the word.
Oh my God. See, that's what a stolen car is in England.
A ringer?
A ringer, yeah.
It's about the influence of The Lord of the Rings on pop culture.
How the books, as a start point, kind of went into every other kind of medium. You know, you've got music being affected by it, obviously film, you know, different types of artwork, and different people along the course of history who just found this phenomenon to affect their work from then on.
Oh no, not Lord of the Rings again.
Why are you such a Lord of the Rings fan? The fans are part of the story. How many eyes do you have up there?
I have 8 eyes up here and then 4 eyes down here. Or so they used to tell me in school.
The book itself is the star of the show.
With Ringers, you get this expansive world brought down into this 90-minute dissection of what this whole mythology is about.
I don't think we could have done this film without Tom, and his advice has just been priceless.
What every beginning filmmaker needs is someone like that at his level who knows the business, who knows what they're doing, to come in, and he's been so nice to us.
What a great group of people to not have any other agenda going on except a love for this material.
We have a sing-along in the middle of our film.
Now I have 2 addictions, caffeine and Lords of the Rings.
Can't believe how it's in pop culture now, you know?
The Lord of the Rings was kind of the metaphysical statement of the decade.
I think that the themes are timeless.
My dad's generation connected to it so clearly that he wanted the next generation, his kids, to feel the same way. We are servants of the secret fire. We are one generation of readers followed by another and another. From every walk of life, from the 4 corners of the globe, we are wanderers in Middle-earth. We've truly gone there and back again. Yet the world of J.R.R. Tolkien beckons us to return. I would see Cliff and Kelly in a lot of different places at these kind of functions that we would do for Lord of the Rings. And I think what was happening in their lives was that because they were, you know, working on theonering.net, they were trying to document what it meant to be a Lord of the Rings fan, and to see through the eyes and also through the position of where a fan would be in this phenomenon, you know, in the midst of a crowd of people. They not only forged a relationship with the cast and the filmmakers because we would see them everywhere, but when they look back on their footage, they realize that there's a film in here somewhere.
Hi, it's Vigo, and you're logged on to theonering.net.
And you're logged on to theonering.net.
Hi, I'd love to say hi to the fans at theonering.net.
We had to get in and get interviews with the best and the brightest in the Lord of the Rings community. Sitting there with Colin Duryea and Dr. Jane Chance, and going back to London to speak with Brian Sibley. He's such a brilliant man. They were some of the best interviews that we could have had.
My #1 choice for narrator always was Dominic Monaghan.
We ended up just not having any time because all the time that I had off was associated with Lost, you know, for photo shoots or, you know, interviews and stuff. So eventually we brought Kayleen over to Hawaii, which was a nice little holiday.
He made me fly down there in December to record his narration. No, it was fantastic. I had to direct him a little bit here and a little bit there, and a lot of times he would just pick it up and just run with it, and he's a great actor.
The directions that I received were all in the right place. It was all just, okay, that's great, but let's try and, you know, put a little bit more fun in there, or let's make this piece more serious. We found little places here and there where we could fool around. It wasn't just always my voice, you know, in certain parts, like when I'm talking about the 60s, it becomes a lot more kind of rock and roll-y. The counterculture was fueled by 3 main things: flower power, rock and roll, and J.R.R. Tolkien. then when you go to places like Comic-Con, I kind of put on a different head for days like that, you know? You're aware of the expectation for the film and you're aware of the excitement. They announce that we're going to be there, and then you turn up and, you know, the energy in the room is just crazy. I mean, you know, if you've not eaten all day, it feels like you're feeding on that energy. It feels like you get energy from that room.
And then we decided another unique tool that we could use as filmmakers would be putting them in a lockbox without the distractions of the outside world.
What if we could give fans the opportunity to confess their love for the Lord of the Rings?
We got lots of unexpected results.
My precious.
I really like the cave troll.
I first fell in love with the Lord of the Rings many years ago.
There was a tiny little hole drilled in the wall, and his camera was right on the outside looking in, and the decoration inside was a cardboard cutout of Frodo Baggins. Hi, Frodo.
Hi, Frodo.
It was really, really very cool.
We met an enthusiastic fan who agreed to become an investor in the film, and from that we were able to go to England, which was always a dream of mine, to go to, you know, follow in the footsteps of Tolkien.
It was really great because we got to travel all over the countryside to places like Oxford, where, you know, Tolkien worked at the university, and places like Salisbury, where we interviewed Terry Pratchett.
I say that fantasy is one of the best things a growing mind can read, because it's kind of like an exercise bicycle for the brain. It doesn't actually take you anywhere, but it really tones up the muscles that will.
After England, wow, we still had some money left over.
You know, when you film a documentary and you can go to New Zealand, you know, what more can you ask?
Certain ringers show a whole new level of affection for Peter Jackson's films and Tolkien's books by visiting Middle-earth. Well, New Zealand.
So I wrote to Ian McKellen and I got a reply, which was great. Why don't you go back in December, he said, for the premiere of The Return of the King.
We were there in the thick of the most amazing premiere for a film that has probably ever existed.
Vic James has a special job. He is a modern-day Mr. Rourke, welcoming people with open arms to Fantasy Island. Vic launched Red Carpet Tours in 2001, giving ringers the best opportunity to visit the pristine wilderness of New Zealand.
Being with all the fans on the tour, there was a really great energy, really great people there.
Trying to figure out ideas for a honeymoon, and I ran into this, hey, Red Carpet Tours is doing tours of Middle-earth, and she didn't object, so here we are.
Everywhere that Josh pointed his camera, there was perfection to be found. Looking at the world as if the glacier had just carved out the mountainside yesterday.
We had good weather. Everyone kept saying how nice the weather was when we were there. It wasn't overly windy. It wasn't overly rainy. It was just perfect. Oh no.
Now we know if we actually want to go to Middle-earth, we know where to go.
And I thought that the best way to tell the story of the publication of The Lord of the Rings was to tell it in 2.5 minutes, animated.
I had to do super tight condensation of the publishing history of The Lord of the Rings into these, you know, all the minutiae, all the details, and boil it down to the essence.
We found a very talented animator, Kevin Gralewski, who realized the vision perfectly.
Kevin's brilliance is shown in the part where you see all these trees growing and then Bingo appears and there's a hobbit hole. It's brilliant.
I say, what do you make of this dull, ill-written Lord of the Rings? It's juvenile trash.
Inflated, overridden, 10 inches, and it's juvenile trash.
Grown-ups don't read fairy stories. Oh, those awful orcs.
Go in front of a microphone And Carlene says, let her rip, and then you can just go in any direction you want.
So we were going to do some sort of really snotty East Coast, you know, kind of.
Yeah, well, it's juvenile trash.
No, not that kind of East Coast. East Coast meaning New England East Coast, you know. Sort of the faux, affected New England.
Nice backhand, Senator.
Exactly.
What a nice backhand.
That one.
I'm sorry, I spent the weekend up in the Hamptons, and it really was a wonderful time.
That one.
It's juvenile trash, darling.
Exactly.
It really is.
That's
the
it.
Thurston Howell III.
Exactly.
Well, there you go. I can do that.
Tolkien's invention is unflagging.
I can't tell you how much fun we had just letting loose.
I said! Has anyone seen the... Oh, look, there's a little frog.
Pathetic. Pathetic. Pathetic.
And then we got the bright idea to do the reenactments of a dorm room. I wanted 4 kids in a dorm room, and I wanted the kids to be the same, and the dorm room to be essentially the same placement and look, and yet we would change their clothes and we would change some of the styles of the dorm room, and so that would change every decade.
We did a lot of research before doing the reenactments for these decades.
You look in the 60s segment, and they're only reading the 60s Ballantine paperbacks. And you look in the 80s segment, and she is specifically holding a 1984, Ballantine paperback. We had to do it, and we had to do it right.
Eventually got on set, and we had a real crew, and we had a big set, and lots of lights and lots of props.
And I started seeing a few of the scenes, and it just had such drama to it. We really went through the 60s and 70s and finding, the moments.
I got to pretend to be a dorm kid from the 50s to the 90s.
Now, who are you? I've been living on the street for 3 years, and they just found me, and they decided to give me a job, and they said they'd pay me in Pop-Tarts.
In the back room, John and Brittany and Marnie and Chi-Chi are doing outrageous costume changes as fast as they could do them. We had people in the art department spinning around trying to change the set. It was great fun.
In all of these reenactments, there is a lot of dancing. Each decade had its own specific style of dancing.
Some of them didn't really know exactly what kind of dancing they were going to be doing. Some of us who have more experience with 80s music had to actually step in and say, look, this is how they dance.
Cliff, actually, he was the expert on the 80s dancing. He attempted to teach me a couple moves. It kind of worked. I did my best.
We went off the deep end a little bit, but we had such a blast.
One of the great non sequiturs in this film is our mariachi music video.
Being a Chicana and being very proud of my heritage and listening to mariachi music and loving it, I thought, what better than a mariachi?
I thought that was a very creative way to actually explore the issue of merchandising and all the byproduct.
And then I met Isabella. She kind of had this like Gloria Estefan look thing.
Ready from the top?
Okay, yes, saucy. Think saucy, very saucy.
Saucy. Put some
Saucy
hot guy
and
behind that
salty.
lens. Think of Josh behind the camera.
Here's a mountain-heighted mouse, an evil doormat for your house.
star beacon in Middle Earth. Treebird has amazing girth. Limba's lunch in Frodo's box. Here's a friend, his name is Shocks. A light a glass from Burger King and the one belly ring. Hi la 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 la. With Safari, it's a quest. Put your credit card to rest. All the money you could save, Tolkien's holding in his grave.
I think the thing that we all remember the most is like by the end of the day we were so sick of the song and we couldn't hear it anymore because we had it played over and over again.
Tolkien fans are very intelligent, artistic, creative, warm, earthy, loving, compassionate, and I feel so blessed to have met so many of these people.
This was more a film about people wanting to share something that they loved and share their passion.
I have learned so much about how one piece of literature could affect so many people in such a positive way.
I just loved it. It really changed my life because now I really love to read, especially fantasy, because that's how I kind of got into reading, from reading The Lord of the Rings and Tolkien.
Again, I parallel the message of our film with the message of Tolkien's book.
My son learned to adore it because it represents everything that we love so much.
I think that it's a beautiful message, and I hope that people can take away a sense of hope that they too can affect the world around them.
Frodo and Pippin and Merry and Gandalf and all of them are a medium by which we can reach out to each other. And it works, it rocks.
This is a great sort of Lord of the Rings 101.
And I thought that was really important to explain to the young kids today that, hey, this was something that was really cool back in the day.
I'm reading The Lord of the Rings to my 10-year-old daughter right now, That's something that we read together. It's just a great thing to pass on.
For me, there's this whole world of Tolkien and Lord of the Rings that's not really from our generation. And it sort of connects us to just different feelings from the 60s and the 70s.
This film is transcending what the genre of documentary film is.
People got together because of the books, and then people got together because of the films, bringing together a whole new set of people whose only bonding thing initially was the book, and what that did.
As fun, rollicking, and wacky, and sometimes out of control as our movie can get, there's still the basic nugget of truth that the best storytelling is going to outlast itself.